Hello, I am Joel McLeod,
I'm Roland Tanner.
and welcome to the 905 Roundup. Which this isn't going to be a normal episode, ladies and gentlemen. This is more of an announcement of changes, or to keep you in the loop, faithful listeners. But Roland and I have been having this conversation for a little while now, and it's time that we kind of, I guess, looped you all into what we've decided. So we are going to be changing structure of the 905er roundup going forward. Basically, we're going to roll this back to ideally once a month, maybe twice a month, depending on the story. But this part of the podcast is becoming a bit too much for just the two of us to kind of keep up with and to make sure that it's the quality that we want it to be. It's been, Roland and I have been kind of struggling to keep our passion for this part of the podcast going. We've been struggling with kind of making sure that it's relevant, and to kind of get away from just the nitpicky kind of he said, she said mundaneness of the 905 region, which is kind of our best way of saying, like, this part of the podcast is all be kind of behind the scenes, has always been a bit of was always a fluke. Like we never planned for this part of the podcast to exist. It just kind of happened.
It grew out of, initially the first couple of episodes, if you go way back in our catalogue, we would do an interview and then we would do a little bit of a discussion of the interview after the interview, and we realized that was maybe not the fairest to the people being interviewed necessarily. Depended on the subject, but and so it sort of grew out into, we'd have another episode where we'd talk about stories in the news and the interview that we did early in the week, and that grew into the roundup. But I think with the thing neither of us want to be is like a couple of white guys shaking our fists at the world and moaning every week.
Now, Roland, the one thing that the world needs is more white guys yelling about the status quo.
Yeah. So we don't want to do that. We don't think that's what you want to be listening to. It's not what we want to be. It's not what we want the 905er to be about. We want it to be about investigating stories in the kind of depth that maybe they don't get elsewhere, with people you don't necessarily hear elsewhere. And highlighting some of the best things about the 905, things you maybe didn't know about the region. We tend to live in our own municipalities, our own communities, and not look at what's happening in communities next door. And that was very much about, the point of the 905 was like, hey, we share so much that many of the problems and challenges we face, we think that it's a Hamilton problem or a Burlington problem or a Mississauga problem, and it's like, it's not. We're all dealing with exactly the same thing. So focusing on those kind of things in more detail, spending our this is a lot of work doing this podcast. Yes. And it's a labor of love, and we want to love it and not sort of be stretched so thin that we when we don't feel that we're producing the kind of quality and the kind of subject discussion that we want to be discussing.
Yeah, I mean, we always thought that this works best if we're taking that kind of 50,000 foot view of the problems, because I think you and I have discovered over the last few months, we've been kind of focusing on the mundane, the not necessarily the mundane, but the trivialities of municipal council life, and just getting into honestly becoming kind of what we thought local journalism had become, which was just, this councilor said this at this council meeting, and that was that was bad, or this matter happened. And we always felt that this would work a lot better if we were able to kind of show the interconnectedness of the various topics. So that being said, we still think there's a point for this part of the podcast. There is a point to the 905 roundup, but we thought we'd be able to kind of maybe focus a little bit more on that banter and that discussion between the two of us. If we're able to kind of take time and actually work on it. Now, that being said, we are going to still focus on every Tuesday, bring an episode where we talk with somebody who is far more smarter than Roland or myself on a various topic, so that you have a better understanding on the issues that be. But that's
really where our passion lies. Is that Tuesday episode with an in-depth interview or some kind of detailed explanation of something, hopefully that you're not going to hear anywhere else, or hear, in a level of detail that you won't hear anywhere else. Thinking back to episodes we've done, where certainly there were stories that were in the news generally, but you weren't going to hear. Thinking of the interview we did with the chair of the Halton Police Services Board, when there was a story about the chief of police going on vacation during COVID. It was a big story, but no one else was interviewing the people involved for half an hour.
Right.
That kind of thing is where we can really show our strength, and also getting, we've never just been about politics and that kind of thing. Is doing the cultural scene, arts, music.
I think that's the thing. We know from the data from our episodes, we know people like to think, oh, it's all politics and scandal. And some of them I think you and I, our favorite episodes were episodes where it wasn't necessarily about politics, but it was about episodes with authors and artists and people in the music scene, or people. I'll be honest. One of our favorites was talking with Jason Cassis during when COVID was happening about the effects of COVID on the restaurant industry, and just kind of an eye-opening take on that part of the economy and that part of the 905. And so when we're doing the 905 roundup, our focus and our efforts tend to be taken away from kind of finding those people or those stories that we think need to have more of a spotlight on them. That, again, traditional media just does not cover at the local scene. That they just do not talk about these people outside of the quick blurb of them donating something to a soup kitchen, which is all well and good, but I'd rather talk to the owners a lot more about their passion and their drive for whatever it is that they do. So yeah, we're hoping that this plan of action is going to help drive better engagement. That being said, we're also retooling our fundraising solutions. I know for a number of time we've had Patreon and we've had Buy Me a Coffee on our website. That is still there, but we have added on a third option, which is a direct support directly to us. It's not going through a third party. It's going directly into us. You can find it on our website. Look for the Be a Supporter tag on our website, 905er.ca. Please click, donate what you can, ideally $5 a month. Helps out. We also have options for monthly, even yearly contributions. So you can click and donate for a year. I shouldn't say donate because there's no tax sheet, but support us for a year and one-time payment, and it goes directly into our coffers and helps us produce better quality content and just keep cover our expenses on this podcast. So you're going to see more of that hopefully in our episodes, just helping to encourage you to support us that way. As well as to sign up for our weekly newsletter, which we encourage you to do so.
Yeah, and just to explain why we're moving, for those people who still support us through Patreon, we're not taking that away, but Patreon takes a crazy percentage of the money. And for a service that frankly, I'm not that much of a fan of. So we can do all that ourselves. And it means that the support that you give us is actually supporting us and not some American multinational that has a really crappy interface. We hope you'll like that. And if some of our listeners, some more of our listeners want to support us, it does make a big difference to our ability to do those episodes, to do better episodes, to do newer things, because it all takes money. It's never going to be a compulsory thing or anything like that, but it really does help. So we do encourage you to go check out our website at 905er.ca, click on become a supporter, and $4 a month or whatever works for you is extremely gratefully received and really means the world to us.
Yeah, so that's it for us this week. No big baffle gab or back and forth. We just want to let you know about these changes that we've kind of come to for the podcast, and we hope that you continue to listen, continue to support us financially, as well as just by listening, sharing, liking, retweeting, reposting.
Anybody who's if you're through Apple in particular, give us a 5-star review on Apple. That is probably the most effective way to really help us grow. Those Apple reviews really have a massive effect. So say that you like us, preferably on Apple reviews, and if you give us a good review, maybe we'll read it out on the podcast sometime.
Or just email into us. If you don't like us, email us.
Yeah, if you don't like us, email us. We read those and we reply to those. If you do like us, share it on Apple podcast reviews.
Yeah. But thanks very much, everyone. That's it for this week. We will be back on Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You looking to make the most out of this life and optimize your personal wellness? Then check out the Natural Man Podcast. Join me, host Mike C., as we explore all areas of human wellness, physical, mental, and emotional. Learn strategies to optimize your own well-being and be in the driver's seat of your own health. Remember, your doctor works for you. Learn biohacks, neurohacks, ways to improve sleep, and ways to optimize your body and your mind. Check us out on Apple, Spotify, the Fountain app, and at naturalmanpodcast.com.
That's it for this episode of the 905er. Thank you for listening. As always, you can send us your feedback, thoughts, and concerns or ideas for future episodes to our email, info@905er.ca. We'd love to hear from you. You can help us keep the 905er going by financially supporting us through Patreon as well as PayPal. Visit us at 905er.ca and click on the support tab. As well, links are in the show notes for your convenience. Lastly, you can find us on social media. Search for _905er on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So long for now. See you next time.